The 23rd of February, 2019. Chapter 9, Part 3. 9:30 a.m. Showered and shaved and looking a tad more presentable than I did yesterday afternoon on the lawn at Seaham Hall. It looks a nicer day out too. No wind, there's even a hint of blue sky. Today I plan to just go with the flow. Mr. Irving has offered an unexpected lead, so I'll see where it takes me. It may be something and nothing, but I already feel this journey is vindicated after yesterday's walk to the spa. It also adds weight to Daniel's story and words and makes him a credible witness. I thought he would be. Breakfast was nice, but I have room for another coffee and cake in a little while. I will update again when I get back to the room. 1:15 p.m. Mr. Irving was already waiting at the cafe when I arrived. I was 5 minutes early, but he was there. He was holding a small box, an old box, older than him. We exchanged pleasantries and moved inside, sitting ourselves down at a table near the window. I told him who I was and why I was there. I explained that I had managed to trace Ernie's movements up to 1948, and to get to the next stage I would have to go to the States, but I felt this trip to County Durham was important too. He nodded as I spoke, tapping the box in front of him. Just as I finished talking, our refreshments arrived. A jolly, plump waitress plonked them on the table and gave me a suggestive wink, which caused me to blush. Mr. Irving noticed and chuckled. "She will eat you alive, lad, literally." I sat back in my seat and smiled. He was ready to tell his side of the story. He was happy for me to use the dictaphone, and so I placed it on the table. He told me, "I was born in 1958. The place was a hospital back then, after being used as a sanatorium before I was born. It has quite a history and quite a place in my family too. My mum worked there as a nurse in the 50s, and my grandmother before her. She worked there during the wartime, so I'm quite sure she'll have known the lad you're talking about. Unfortunately, they're both passed on now, but having overheard you yesterday, I thought you'd like to have a look at some pictures and notes that my mum kept from that time. It's all personal stuff, no patient records or anything like that, but you never know, it might help." Most of the patients were transferred to Newcastle's Freeman Hospital or Sunderland General years later. If any records were kept about the patients, they'll be in some vault up there, no doubt. But I wouldn't imagine that there would be anything from the sanatorium days. But maybe what's in here may be of some use to you. Mr. Irving proceeded to open the box and tip the contents onto the table. Letters, photos, badges, ribbons, and two small notebooks. "Nurse Elizabeth Ovington," it said on one of the notebooks, 1944. I reached for the book, feeling the need to clarify. Mr. Irving told me Ovington was his grandmother's name. The book itself was faded green, A5-sized, lined paper. I flipped through the pages while Mr. Irving talked about the other objects on the table and what he could remember about his grandmother when he was young. She sounded like quite a formidable lady in her time, but dedicated to her profession and the patients she supported. The handwriting inside was immaculate, a flowing cursive style in black ink. While Mr. Irving talked, I tried to read. It was a mix of work notes and diary extracts, weather forecasts, notes about uniforms and the shortage of equipment in the wards. Nothing seemed to have changed much. Her life seemed routine and ordered, but one thing that struck me was her concern for her patients. She recorded her concerns of high temperatures, the need to keep them moving, her desire to lift spirits, and the monitoring of what they eat and how often. She did let her guard down occasionally, showing her human side. The heartbreak she felt when Mr. Bellamy could fight on no more, or the frustration and anger when the trip to Durham was cancelled due to the cost of transport. I read on, lost in thought, and then, there it was. I was delighted to see Martha again when I started the Monday shift. I had fretted all weekend about her condition. I didn't think she would pull through, but there she was, a fighter. no more than 6 stone of pure determination and will. For one so young, she's an inspiration to us all, selfless too. Also, the way she supported the new boy, to take him under her frail wing the way she did, and the two of them get on so well, the ideal tonic for each other. He would have been devastated had we lost her. Good for you, girl. Although not mentioned by name, it seemed pretty clear to me who the young boy was. Mr. Irving had nipped to the toilet at this point. I took photographs of the pages for my records. I skimmed the pages looking for more, and then I found it. She wrote, "What a difference a month makes. By the way they behave, you would not know how much pain or suffering the two are going through. Always joking, always laughing. It is infectious and rubbing off on the other patients and the staff too. A fellow Cumberland resident, I believe. She is a Carlisle lass. He is from out in the sticks somewhere. I bet they can't wait to get home. This is no place to live out your teenage years, but they certainly make the most of it. She has taught us all how to play card games and do magic tricks. She doesn't have a poker face, though. She can't hide her emotions, and neither can he. They both brighten the place up no end. Even Bill has started laughing. I never thought I would say that." There was one last reference to Martha. Still no mention of the boy's name in the notebook, but along with the bench dedication, it's a fair assumption to assume it's Ernie. She wrote, "Martha is leaving us this Friday. She looks so much better than when she arrived. I shall miss her. We all will. Especially the boy. I hope they meet again sometime. I will write to her and ask him if he wishes to write too. I'm sure he will. She has set him jobs in here to keep him busy. He looks so much better now too. Stronger, fitter and healthier. I'm sure he'll be going back home soon. Thank you, Martha, and God be with you." At the foot of the page there was an address. M.N. 45 Brookside Place, Raffles, Carlisle, Cumberland. When Mr. Irving returned, I was able to let him know that his little box had been a veritable treasure chest for me. He didn't quite understand my excitement at the tenuous link I had found, but he was pleased to have been of help nonetheless. I thanked Mr. Irving for all his help, and now I had another lead to follow. It was very unlikely that Martha would still be alive. It was very unlikely that she would be at that address. It was unlikely that she would have lived her life with the same surname. I was off to New York in a few days, and there was so much still to do. I couldn't just go on a detour and have another overnight stay to North Cumbria on a whim, with little or nothing to go on other than hope and instinct, could I? Damn right I could. I was loving this adventure more than anything I'd done before.